is how I feel about my PhD. So let's get into it. I'm going to be giving you an update on my PhD as someone that is like 2 to 3 years in. And we are going into what is the third academic year. I have achieved my ethics approval. Woo! But it was a trying time. New here, I am Mercy, a PhD student who is currently exploring ADHD and autism in Afro-Caribbeans, looking at the diagnosis process as well. This is under the umbrella of neurodiversity, but I have decided to focus on two specific conditions that are affecting my community, that are prevalent in the statistics and part of my lived experience as well. So it's a bit of a shorthand of what's going on. But progress was being made. It was a very grueling time to decide on the data collection methodology that was going to be used. And that's just basically, in simple terms, means how will we get the data we need to complete this research? And it was quite difficult because when we are doing anthropology, we are looking at ethnographic methods, which means it's a lot of observing, it's a lot of interviews, it's a lot of conversations, but primarily observing people. Been quite challenging because realistically, this PhD is a hybrid between psychiatric, psychological, and anthropological research methodologies. And people with ADHD and autism don't just herd together. Like, you can't just say, I'm going to observe a group of people with ADHD or autism. So that was really challenging even before we got to the ethics part. And it took a lot of my kind of foundational years to really understand how am I going to encapsulate the entire story, journey, and process of this experience in this research. So we spent a lot of time doing that and we finally got it. So what I'm going to be doing is bioethnographic research with a combination of network approach theory as well. And all that basically means is that I will be following the story of key individuals and allowing their experience to take me on a journey. And that's primarily their lived experience. So for example, part of the research will be looking at my own experience as being diagnosed with ADHD. And my journey to that as well, because I got diagnosed when I believe I was 26 years old. And that was after starting my PhD as well. So I was literally looking at it from a lens of, I know that my friends, a lot of people in my community are struggling with late diagnosis. And then I ended up having a late diagnosis with ADHD. So looking at that journey, but also looking at the journey of other people as well. So I have quite a large network of friends who have been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and they were diagnosed in their mid-20s. So I'm looking at their journey, and what that means is I start with them, and in their story, if they go and I spoke to this psychiatrist, the next person I would speak to based on the network approach is the psychiatrist. And if I speak to the psychiatrist and they go, oh yeah, and I'm working alongside this charity, then I would go to that charity as well. So you start with the case study, but you actually move through the experience of different people. So even in that case study, if the person also said, my teacher identified, if we can still access the teacher, we would speak to the teacher. So you start with a key person of interest and you basically follow their journey and their lived experience to formulate answers. And with my PhD, we've identified some key areas where diagnoses should be acknowledged or picked up based on like existing research, based on the existing diagnosis and referral process. But then we're also looking at the case studies as well. Because it's not an open call and because it has a specific criteria, this meant that ethics was quite challenging, and explaining that to ethics was quite interesting. So I think we had 2 declines before we got the final approval, which was really stressful because we were making the changes, we were justifying areas of concerns, we had safeguard measures in place, all the relevant things you need, because as a researcher, especially one that is under an academic institution, you cannot just go out and conduct a piece of research. You need to have approval from the university and any funding bodies that you may have. So we had a rejection twice, which actually kind of made me sad on both occasions, not because I felt like something was being done to me. my rejection sensitivity is extremely low. I don't deal well with it. So it was a lot of like meeting up with my supervisor, a lot of being quite transparent about how I'm feeling, and a lot of actually reviewing some of the initial concerns. So because of one of the main things is that I'm actually talking to my friends, I'm talking to people that I know. I don't have to open call it, which was a concern. I don't think it is, because the whole research is based on the premise that I live in a community where Afro-Caribbeans or individuals of Afro-Caribbean descent are diagnosed later than their counterparts from other ethnicities and races. That's just the reality. But we were able to convey things, and we now have ethics approval, which means that I am now allowed to start collecting data. I'm getting closer to the end of this, guys. PhD is not easy, and I'm laughing so that I don't cry. This has not been an easy experience. I'm also an unfunded PhD student. So it has been a journey, but you know what? It has been such an insightful journey. I believe that if you want to pursue research of any kind or just broaden your horizon and understanding, please do it. This PhD, in the short time that I've been doing it, has shown me so much. It has absolutely transformed my perspective, my understanding. It has made my professional kind of career and experience a lot more kind of bolstered up by the knowledge that I'm learning. It's made me more inquisitive, more inquiry based. It's just been phenomenal, but it's not been easy. So now I took a short break to celebrate. So in the same time that I took that August off to just kind of take time to breathe and deal with life, I did the same for that PhD. But we back in September. Enrollment is open. We are back in the full swing of what is like second or third year. And yeah, we are getting ready to start data collecting. We are getting ready to kind of map out what this is going to look like, and allocate the time in my day-to-day to do that as well. So that's really, really exciting update. So I'll be spending the next 12 months or so continuing to read. This whole thing is about reading, learning, digging. And with a PhD, you need to be very open-minded. Although you come in with like a idea of what you are looking for, what you are researching, and what you want to do, and your question, you've got to be open-minded to the fact that the existing research and some of the statistics and the data that are available may send you in another direction. And that's what makes the first year or two, especially in the social research, quite difficult, because you are moving. So it will be continual reading and also data collection. So I will be keeping you posted on what that looks like. Obviously, we'll not be sharing the data that I'm collecting. Of course, GDPR, privacy, anonymity, all of those sorts of things. We're just not going to do that. But I will keep you posted on my journey of that, which is going to be quite interesting. I've got some exciting people lined up to start with. And yeah, I feel like I'm making really big progress, and there's a lot of momentum. So I'm excited. We are ready to go. We are ready to have a good time data collecting, and I will just keep you up to date with what's going on there. And also the emotions and the feelings and the balance, because I know a few of you that watch this video are starting PhDs, might be in PhDs or considering a PhD. I'm keeping my experience raw, authentic, and honest, okay? So I hope you enjoy, and we'll be back to talk about data collection and how things are going with that. So if you enjoyed this, as always, just drop a brown heart to let me know that you made it all the way to the end. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As I've given to you, please kindly give back. And I'll see you in my next video.